All right, well, welcome to the third Friday meeting of WILPF San Jose branch. And as we do, we always start our meetings with the Raging Grannies singing. So I'm going to share the screen. Everybody sings, but here's the trick. You have to put yourself on mute because only one singer at a time works electronically. So if Rowan is going to sing the first one and I'm going to sing the second one.
There's something that's troubling the grannies, so we toss and we turn late at night, wondering why there are so many hungry in a land that's so rich that ain't right. It's time for a moral revival, so we've joined the Poor People's Campaign to end poverty in our nation. We've joined the Poor People's Campaign. The government spends all our taxes for killing in wars far away. But we grannies say give our kids books, not bombs, and give the kids teachers fair pay. It's time for a moral revival, so we've joined the Poor People's Campaign to end senseless wars across the planet. We've joined the Poor People's Campaign. They're drilling and fracking and dumping to fatten their wallets, you see. And they don't really care if we live or die. It's enough to make Mother Earth weep. Now it's time for a moral revival, so we've joined the Poor People's Campaign to stop them from poisoning our planet. We've joined the Poor People's Campaign. Equality for all the people, they say, is the law of the land. But our system is blatantly racist, so together for justice we'll stand. And it's time for a moral revival, so we've joined the Poor People's Campaign. And together we'll pick up the torch and work for the National Poor People's Campaign. We are not afraid of their handcuffs. They can lock us in jail if they must. But we grannies won't sit by in silence while they throw us all under the bus. And it's time for a moral revival, so we've joined the Poor People's Campaign. And we're glad all you folks have joined with us in the National Poor People's Campaign. In the National Poor People's Campaign.
We're rising up in San Jose and joining the campaign, a task that wasn't finished when the Reverend King was slain. 50 years have come and gone, but still his words ring true. So how's this war economy working out for you? We are marching in the Poor People's Campaign with voices loud and fists raised high. We're throwing off our chains and we'll keep marching forward and we won't go back again. Together we are strong. They tell us there's no money now for jobs or health care plans, but there's always lots of money for their wars in far-off lands. They spend it all for war and not for schools or homes, that's true. So how's this war economy working out for you? They spend $3 trillion when they send their kids to war. Not all our kids, you know, but just the brown, the black, the poor. They had no hope of finding jobs in good old USA. So how's this war economy working for them today? We are marching in the Poor People's Campaign with voices loud and fists raised high. We're throwing off our chains and we'll keep marching forward and we won't go back again. Together we are strong. There's coal ash pipelines fracking and there's drilling off our shores and the toxic waste gets dumped upon the people who are poor. The profiteers will kill us, so let's raise an awful fuss, 'cause it's clear this war economy ain't working out for us. As we stand today in San Jose, we sing our simple song for dignity for everyone, a place we all belong. Listen, politicians, we won't take it anymore. In a land as rich as this one, why should anyone be poor? We are marching in the Poor People's Campaign with voices loud and fists raised high. We're throwing off our chains and we'll keep marching forward and we won't go back again. Together we are strong. Yay! All right, we are ready to start our meeting. Welcome, welcome everyone. Tonight's third Friday meeting in July of the WILPF San Jose branch is we are hosting our own Rowan Fairgrove. Rowan recently went to Washington, D.C. to participate in the latest Poor People's Campaign gathering. And she is here tonight to report on that. So please help me welcome Rowan. Rowan, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I went to the Moral Poverty Action Congress. And so once again, this is what I did on my summer vacation, like I did last year. This year, I was privileged to be a California delegate to the Poor People's Campaign Moral Poverty Action Congress, MPAC, because we're going to have an impact. So it was from June 19th to the 21st in Washington, D.C. Each state with a coordinating committee was invited to send 20 delegates. Plus, there were a few folks from our national partners and from religious denominations, but mostly it was a chance for people who are already deeply involved in the campaign to make sure that our issues and those of the more than 140 million low-income people are part of the moral and national narrative of this country from 2024 and beyond, to create a moral fusion delegation that included at least 12 people deeply impacted by poverty or racism out of the 20 that each state sent, broaden and deepen our skills to strengthen our work here in California and across the country, and develop and strengthen leadership to help with the ongoing statewide campaign work, and then have opportunities for ongoing relationships building with other PPC organizations from California and across the nation. So it was an amazing opportunity. And California stepped up and raised a bunch of money. Thank you for those of you who contributed to that. I know that you did. And this is our photo op. There was this wonderful Forward Together background and these peace umbrellas. And so these are most of the people in our delegate of impacted people, faith leaders, and advocates, and some wonderful theomusicologists. The first day, one of the things that Bishop Barber always says is, we're not going to be loud and wrong. And so he led a discussion with economists and public health policy practitioners on poverty and hunger in America. They discussed a variety of issues, including the causes of poverty, the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on low-income and minority populations, the economic drivers of inflation, and how best to mitigate poverty in the country. This panel is still up on C-SPAN, and hopefully Paula is dropping the link in the chat. And it's well worth watching if you're interested in this issue. And now just to give you a sense of what the issues are, here's some coverage from Democracy Now! This is just a small clip of their news show about this impact and some photos from impact and also some historical photos as Bishop Barber speaks about the issues.
Poverty is the fourth leading cause of death, and that's a conservative figure because the researchers didn't even deal with children 15 years and younger. I mean, just say that. Poverty, fourth leading cause of death, higher than homicide, higher than respiratory diseases. We have the highest child poverty rate of any country like us in terms of economic power. And it's time we have to intensify what we're doing. And so at the Moral Poverty Action Congress last week, sponsored by Repairs of the Breach in the Kairos Center, hundreds of poor and low-wealth people, over 1,000, and faith leaders and economists and public health people came together to form a 30-state strategy to intensify, to force our nation's leaders to confront the American death sentence of poverty, which is totally unnecessary. And this is before COVID. Poverty was the fourth leading cause of death before COVID. During COVID, 330,000 people died from the lack of health care, not from COVID. Poor people died at a rate 3 to 5 times higher during COVID, the high times of COVID, not from COVID, but from the lack of access to the things that would have prevented their death. And the question we have to ask is, why do we hear so much about crime rates and opioids and gun violence in America, but poverty kills more people than all of those things? Crime rates, opioids, homicide, gun violence. Why is there no Surgeon General's warning on low-wage jobs as a form of death? So we joined with Representative Lee and Jayapal to introduce the third Reconstruction resolution, ending poverty and low wealth, saying here are 20 policies. And does the Congress have the resolve, not a Democratic resolve or a Republican resolve, but a human resolve, a moral resolve to eradicate poverty and other systems of injustice, which can be done. This death is unnecessary. It is policy murder. Yeah, it's policy murder. And we met also with over 400 congresspersons, with Schumer. Jeffries tried to meet with McConnell and McCarthy. They wouldn't meet with us. In fact, they refused to allow us even to meet on the steps of the Capitol. But we kept going because living wages could stop death. Healthcare could stop death. Child poverty tax credits could stop death. Redirecting the war economy could stop death. Voting rights could stop death because it allow people, if you stop voter suppression, you undermine people getting elected who then will fight against the poor and cause more death. And so we're intensifying in this coming year, 2024, we're planning 30 major actions, nonviolent at state capitals. We're planning on June 15th of next year, a massive poor people's low-wage workers and moral march on Washington, D.C., and to the polls, because we're going to be mobilizing the 87 million poor and low-wealth people in this country. Poor and low-wealth people now make up over 30% of the electorate generally and over 40% of the electorate in battleground states. And in most places, poor and low-wealth people are not voting because they feel like the system has just abandoned them. So we're saying vote and change the system, and that's what we have to do. Otherwise, we become accessories to the crime of policy murder, and that's what's going on right now.
He does
Poverty is a force.
preach quite well, doesn't he? So one of the things, like I said, we're not going to be loud and wrong. So at the beginning of the Modern campaign, from the very beginning, we have partnered with various universities and institutes to have the best data available as we make our demands. And so for this impact, the fact sheets on each state have been updated. So you can see I think the 2020 fact sheets, the 2022 fact sheets, and now the 2023 fact sheets, and the various studies that we've done on the website. So the most recent data indicate that poor and low income people make up more than 40% of the population in 13 states: California, Mississippi, New Mexico, Florida, Hawaii, New York, Georgia, Alaska, Louisiana, Texas, Nevada, Arkansas, and North Carolina. More than 40% of the people in our state are poor. And with children, it's even worse. I don't know how these people can sleep at night. So after hearing the panel discussion from the economists and the public health people and getting some training on lobbying, they sent us all to the Hill. There were over 800 people from the 30 states that sent delegations to lobby their state representatives and senators. We had appointments in some congressional offices, but we also did literature drop-offs of the fact sheets and other things to every single Congress member. And so here's some pictures from our California delegation. The one in the center is us just off the bus before we dispersed to our respective appointments. And then there's folks in front of various offices. The folks on the right are my team. And then me in the mask in front of Zoe Lofgren's office where we had an appointment. And after about 2 hours of visiting congressional offices, folks headed to a rally at the Capitol to reiterate our demands that Congress step up and deliver solutions to the interconnected systemic crises afflicting millions of people across the U.S., from starvation wages to a lack of health care. There were impacted testifiers from many states, a litany from a large group of faith leaders, and of course, amazing theomusicology from musicians from all over the country. Yeah, these are just some pictures. The first one is Arne Batson, one of the California theomusicologists at the mic. She was in Sweet Honey in the Rock and is an amazing musician. We're so glad that she was representing us. And then there's Bishop Barber. There's people having a die-in from poverty, and Reverend Liz Theo Harris in the fourth picture. And then y'all may recall in 2021, Representative Barbara Lee and Representative Pramila Jayapal introduced a House resolution called the Third Reconstruction Resolution. And we did a lot of actions trying to get our state representatives to co-sponsor that resolution. And so it has now been reintroduced, and we will again be asking our representatives to co-sponsor. And we will be paying attention. I did want to say, Ro Khanna and Ted Liu were there along with Barbara Lee, who are of course all California reps. Anna Eshoo has signed after being called by Paula and other people in her district. So I'm really excited to report that now we have 4 California representatives who've signed on. And now I'm going to play you a video that was made in support of the 2021 resolution to remind you what some of the demands were.
We are in one of those moments that demand a poor people's campaign.
Our brothers and sisters are sleeping on the streets. For a country this rich to have so many people poor, it's immoral and it's wrong.
When we throw away more food than it takes to feed every person, not just that's hungry in this country, but around the world, that is not right.
Something is wrong.
That is a moral emergency, and that's why we need a poor people's campaign.
There's other systems here that are oppressing us that voting won't always fix, and that we've got to talk about, we've got to call it out, and we've got to mobilize and build a movement to be able to change these things that our politicians won't always change.
But if you don't recognize us, and then it goes back to that second chapter, that we're the forgotten ones.
Until we are ready to keep this fight going.
Because it's crucial that we make ourselves heard.
Let the people vote! That's how you honor veterans. When you hold down the poor, you hold down America.
Our backs are against the wall, and we got no choice but to push.
We are building a multiracial, intergenerational, nonviolent army of the poor that will break every chain. Every chain.
And so we have to come to a point that every attack on the poor will embolden our agitation. Every attack on sick folk will embolden our agitation. Every attack on immigrants will embolden our agitation.
We can do more. We can do better. And we're building the power. Forward together. Not one step back.
We want health care.
We're not lazy. We work. We work.
That's right.
We want a living wage. We want unions. We want health care. We want just what basic people need.
Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to dream.
I'm ready to fight. I am tired.
where we're going to keep on making this holy trouble, keep on defending our democracy, keep on speaking for voting rights and for health care and for living wages and for everything that everybody in this society needs to thrive.
It's time to get it right here and right now. No racist superiority is ever greater than the rights of humanity.
Our country now stands at a tipping point. We can realize a third Reconstruction to fully address poverty and low wages from the bottom up.
We all must embrace this omnibus vision of third Reconstruction. No democracy can claim to be strong when 140 million people, or 43% of its people, are poor and low wealth. That's talking about 52% of children under 18, 39 million children. That's 41% of elders above 65, 21 million. That's 42.6% of men, that's 65 million. That's 45% of women, 74 million. That's 60% of black people, 26 million. That's 64% of Latinos, 38 million. That's 40% of Asian people, 8 million. That's 59% of Native Indigenous people, that's 2.1 million. And that's 33.5% of white people, that's 66 million white people. Before the pandemic ever hit, according to a study at Columbia University, 250,000 people a year died from the pandemic of poverty, 750 people a day.
We have the solutions. They're right here. They're right here in this third Reconstruction resolution. And so we must build the political will, the compelling power, the resolve to lift from the bottom.
This is a moral issue rooted in the commitments of our Constitution, that the first thing we swear to is to establish justice, promote the general welfare, and to ensure equal protection under the law. This is a moral agenda, but a moral agenda from my faith tradition. Morality is not just folk coming together and singing we love each other. It is coming together by the Spirit, building a community where there is no lack. So a moral agenda is also a sound economic agenda.
Today we say to poor people, Mr. Speaker, we see you and we will eradicate poverty in our country with you.
It's movement time. It's time to shake this nation, because this nation is locked up.
Rise up. Rise up. Rise up.
Get up tomorrow and start the revolution.
And so that was the 2021 introduction speech for it. And we're working on it again. It's an amazing resolution. The link is being dropped in the chat. Read it and talk to your folks about it. We're going to be working together to get everybody to sign on. And if they don't sign on, we're going to take note of that too. So after MPAC, the Moral Poverty Action Congress, Bishop Barber, Service Employees International Union, SEIU International President Mary Kay Henry, and other leaders from the Poor People's Campaign and Repairs of the Breach met with White House officials to discuss the enduring fight to end poverty in America. The officials emphasized the Biden-Harris administration's core commitment to continue building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. We mean to hold them to that. And this Congress got a lot of press. I'm not going to drop all the links, but you saw a little bit of the Democracy Now, but USA Today, Newsweek, not just The Guardian and Religion News and The Village Voice, but pretty mainstream press covered us. This is just a sample. And I wanted to lift up this quote. It was from the press release that was announcing the Moral Poverty Action Congress. And to me, it feels like a manifesto. And so I'm going to actually read it. I'm not a great one for reading slides, as anybody who has come to my presentations knows, but I think this is really important. Today, poverty is the fourth leading cause of death nationwide. It is a death sentence for Americans. It is a moral travesty and a detriment to the soul of our nation that poverty kills more people than homicide, yet the powers that be don't want to address it. There's not a scarcity of resources, but a scarcity of political will. Until our nation's leaders invest the great riches of this nation in ensuring equal justice for all, beginning with the poor and low wealth of this nation, we cannot be silent. And not being silent anymore is one of the slogans of the Poor People's Campaign. And so what do? Each state with a coordinating committee has been asked to create moral action teams that will build ongoing relationships with legislators in their states. We want to be active, visible, and effective at bringing the voices of the impacted and advocates to the fore. Each state is to organize a state house mass people's assembly and annual day of action with 3,000 to 5,000 people aspirationally in February of 2024. Every state with a coordinating committee. So that was the 30 states that came to DC. We're all coming back and organizing towards a February day of action. And so we need to work hard to get that many folks to Sacramento in February. And Bishop Barber has said that every year during the third week in June, the campaign will be in Washington, most likely alternating marches and congresses as we organize a movement. Next year will be another mass poor people's and low wage workers assembly and moral march on Washington and to the polls in Washington, DC on June 15th, 2024. And so hope that folks will join us there. I obviously plan to be there myself. And if you'd like to hear from our Moral Fusion delegation, there's going to be a report back on August 13th. The RSVP for that is being dropped into the chat. And you'll be able to see some of the other faces besides mine of our delegation. And as we say in the campaign, forward together, not one step back. Thank you for listening. WILPF as a national partner will no doubt be involved in our states and getting folks to DC next June. I look forward to working with all of you on this. And so I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions.
Rowan. Oh my goodness. And who's got a question? I see Anne, I see you've got a question. Unmute.
Yes, Rowan, you said you met with somebody in Zoe Loughran's office. I would like to know who you met with and how that meeting went and what response we have from our congresswoman.
Yeah, we met with Chad Powell, who's a policy analyst in her office, but we have not heard anything back. I did follow up and thank him for meeting with us, but the campaign will be reaching out to all of the delegates. We did, you may recall in 2021, we did an action with about 20 people at her San Jose office with signs and songs and exhorting her to sign it. And she did not sign it in 2021. And so I don't know whether we can expect any action on that front or not.
I would be happy to help with that. I've known Zoe since before she even went to the Board of Supervisors, and I was one of those who helped convince her to run for Congress the first time. So I will be happy to help you with those efforts.
Great, thank you. Building teams is one of the things the Poor People's Campaign really wants to do. We don't want, single people representing the campaign. We want teams, more action teams. So thank you. So if there are
other questions before we move on to
so can the Raging Grannies take us out? I'm sorry, I'm running out of sitting up time.
Yes, the Raging Grannies can take us out. We are, if I can get the screen so you know how we do this, everybody except Rowan, because well, Rowan, you're gonna have to sing this one. And then is there somebody who is willing to sing the last? Here we go. Everybody mute except Rowan.
Come all of you fine people, good news to you I'll tell about a fusion movement that has come here to dwell. We're moving forward together, our lives we will not sell. Not one step back is our refrain, we've broken from our shell. Oh, which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Let's remember where we come from, and our movement cannot fail. Remember who we are, my friends, and I know we will prevail. The fire has been rekindled, and we're willing to go to jail. Our lives are ours and ours alone, and the future is not for sale. Oh, which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Oh, listen up, all you senators. Democracy's our right. The filibuster has got to go, and we're showing up to fight. The Congress needs to serve us and not the far, far right. And corporate bosses who kill the earth, that is all of our birthright. Oh, which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Do you know how it happened? And do you realize? Or do you think the truth comes from the world of suits and ties? They preach cooperation, don't listen to their lies. Our parents bled and stark to claim our right to organize. Oh, which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Oh, come all you good people, you pour the whole world round. It's time to throw off our chains and make a mighty sound. We're all in this together, and we will stand our ground until we hear the jubilee, and the haters will confound. Oh, which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on?
Wow, wow, wow.
Okay, here's our last one.
Okay. When we make peace instead of war, when we make peace instead of war, how I want to be in that number. When we make peace instead of war, when poverty is history, when poverty is history, how I want to be in that number when poverty is history. When everyone has equal rights, when everyone has equal rights, how I want to be in that number when everyone has equal rights. When we make peace instead of war, when we make peace instead of war, how I want to be in that number when we make peace instead of war. How is it?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, SC, for leading us. That was wonderful.